2.4 billion in the first 6 months of its release, the MacBook Air was one of Apple's biggest wins. Let's talk about it. The short answer to the question in the title would be that the MacBook Air was originally revolutionary and eventually became economical, which gave consumers a less expensive way to enter the Apple ecosystem. This made the MacBook Air lineup an extremely profitable and a timeless one for Apple. But how did this revolutionary design make its way into the hands of millions? Let's delve into the details. When Steve Jobs picked up a brown envelope and pulled out the MacBook Air, the crowd was amazed by the sleek design. This groundbreaking form factor set the stage for a new era in portable computing. But to call it Apple's biggest win seems like a stretch, right? No. This was easily Apple's biggest gamble in 2008. This was the same year that Apple released the iPhone 3G, which is a minor upgrade from the original iPhone, and it was a normal refresh for the other products in the iPod lineup, as well as the laptops in the MacBook lineup. But who was the MacBook Air for? The easiest answer was for people who prefer portability over power. But who in their right mind would buy a less powerful laptop just so that they could move it around? Macintosh net sales increased by $2.4 billion in the first 6 months of 2008. This increase was primarily driven by the sales of the new MacBook Air. So it's safe to say that there was a market for portability over power. Prior to the MacBook Air, Apple sold two lines of notebooks: the MacBook, which was 2.3 kgs, and the MacBook Pro, which was 2.5 kgs. They were powerful, but they were also heavy. It was only until the MacBook Air came around that Mac users had a lightweight and ultra-portable option in the MacBook lineup. At only 1.4 kgs, it was a whole kilogram lighter than the MacBook Pro released that year. All the laptops in the lineup became more sleek, and eventually in 2019, the base MacBook was discontinued, leaving only the MacBook Air and the MacBook Pro. This was solely because the base MacBook and the MacBook Air started to become too similar. When Apple added the M1 chips to the MacBook Air, it changed the game. For the first time in a long time, a MacBook was more cost efficient and more powerful than any other similarly priced Windows alternatives. When comparing the M2 MacBook Air to the M2 MacBook Pro, the only substantial difference was noticed in sustained CPU loads, like video rendering and 3D design. That is mainly because Apple has chosen not to put a fan in their MacBook Air. And I was wondering, what does it take for a company like Apple to not put a fan in their laptops? But we already know the answer. Courage. That aside though, I would say the M2 and the M2 Pro are pretty equally matched when it comes to light use, but the MacBook Air is more bang for buck in this case. The addition of the M1 chip to the MacBook Air was what cemented it as Apple's biggest win. It was a perfect mix of portability, battery life, and power. Yes, the iPhone is what people look forward to buying after every Apple event, but the MacBook Air is a product that could be recommended to the majority of people. Apple has more to offer when it comes to screen size as well as power in their MacBook Pro models. But since its release in 2008, the MacBook Air has been an extremely influential and a timeless line of laptops, and it's placed as one of Apple's most profitable lines, cementing it as Apple's biggest win.